Welcome to our show, Al-Islam and Community Issues. I'll be your host today, Brother Benjamin Shabazz, and we have a very special guest today, Brother Naeem Sharif. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. We want to get right into the meat of our show, which is a trip that Brother Naeem took. And before we start, we want to open up with a brief prayer. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. With the name of God, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer.
Amen.
Ameen. Brother Naeem, when did you join the Black Panther Party?
Well, this show is going to be about the Black Panther Party and also the trip that I took down to Oakland, California, the 50th anniversary of the Black Panther Party. I joined, and why I joined, I believe I joined in 1966 at the end, or either 1967. The reason why I joined the Black Panther Party is because I saw the condition of our people. Voting rights, lack of education, police brutality, all these different things. The thing that really captured my attention was I don't like bullies. I didn't like bullies when you're in school. I don't like if black guys beating up a white guy for no reason, or a white guy beating up a black guy, whatever, or different religious people beating up on other religious people. I just don't like bullies. So that's what drew me to the Black Panther Party. And also I don't like countries being bullies. Just because you have the largest army, you don't have to, bully everybody around in the world. So those were the reasons why I joined the Black Panther Party.
Okay, good. Yeah, bullying can be a problem, can't it?
It's a big problem.
So, what led you to the party? Well, I guess what I want to ask you is that were you involved in any other organizations before the party?
Yes, I was involved with SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And that was the organization that was started down south. And what it was involving people trying to get people to vote, and was also to have them get their voting rights. And we even see that today. You see certain political party trying to repress the vote. They claim because there's, widespread, people are voting, illegally and all that stuff, and it's been shown that it's not. The stats are there that show this is not true. This is just a smokescreen, so people can't vote. Where you see that in some states, if you have a gun permit, you can vote, but if you have a student ID, you can't vote. So what's that all about? Then they close the Department of Motor Vehicles in certain neighborhoods where you have to travel so far to get your ID. That means, you got to catch several buses or whatever, and then you got to take off of work. So that was one of the reasons why SNCC was formed, and we see those problems today. Also the Black Student Union. So these different organizations, there was work to be done in that, and then we saw, certain people saw there was another level to go to, and that was the Black Panther Party.
Okay. Could you comment on the 10-point program of the Black Panther Party?
I'll do that, and I'll go through it briefly. I'll just give you the main points, and after each main point, there's much to be said about it. But point number one of the Black Panther Party platform and program, what we want and what we believe, and this was from October 1966. We want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our black community. Point number two, we want full employment for our people. Point number three, we want an end to the robbery by the capitalists of the black community. Point number four, we want decent housing fit for the shelter of human beings. Point number five, we want education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in the present day society. Point number six, we want all black men to be exempt from military service. Point number seven, we want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people. Point number 8, we want freedom for all black men held in federal, state, county, and city prisons and jails. Point number 9. We want all black people, when brought to a trial, to be tried in a court by a jury of their peer group or people from their black communities, as defined by the Constitution of the United States. Point number 10, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, and peace. And after each of these points, there's much more to be said, but that's just a brief thing. One thing I'd like to add to this, it seems like some of these points were under the 10-point program that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, leader of the Nation of Islam, had. They're different, but you can kind of see some of the similarities. So what these programs was something to give the party something to have focus on, to have a focus. You just didn't want to be out there. You wanted to have focus on whatever you were doing.
Okay. Now, I remember we were talking earlier about how the Black Panther Party in Seattle did a lot of powerful things. Would you comment on a few of those for me?
Well, they took directions from what was happening in the central location, which was Oakland. That's where it started from. But some of these programs were around the nation. And one was a free grocery program and also the free breakfast program, the sickle cell anemia screening program, free medical clinic, pest control program. This was established in Seattle in Yesler Terrace. And just to go through some of the things, for the free grocery program, just what it was, providing the community with, free food. The free breakfast program was something that was established that you saw kids coming to school, they were hungry. So if you come to school hungry, it's hard to study. So this program is something that the federal government saw that, what's going on here? These bunch of Negroes here, they're feeding the community. What we're going to do? So this shamed the federal government, so they started having these programs for people. So you can go back and trace this to the Black Panther Party establishing these programs. The federal government said, okay, we need to do something. And, they established these programs now. So all these children that are being fed across the United States, you can thank the Black Panther Party for that, no matter what you think about it. Now, there's a picture there that they just popped on the screen. And that was in I believe, April of 1968. And this is when we went to the Capitol in Olympia, Washington, and they were on the steps of the Capitol. So there we are. They are young African-American men. And you always hear about, people expressing their Second Amendment rights and so forth. And it's always okay when people of European descent express their Second Amendment rights. But when African-Americans do it, then there always seems to be an issue. That particular day, there's a story to that. So we were in the central area of Seattle. We were in a station wagon. And we're getting ready to go to Olympia. We have our guns and everything, and our rifles, etc. And there was one guy who had an excuse why he couldn't go. And if you ever seen the movie Blues Brothers with John Belushi and what's her name, Carrie Fisher, they're down in the sewer. And John Belushi is giving her 15 excuses why you can't go. I had a flat tire. The dog's sick. I couldn't find a stamp for her to put on the mail. 15 different excuses. So this guy had so many excuses why he couldn't go with us. So he ended up, he didn't go. So anyway, we're heading out from Seattle to Olympia, and we know the FBI is following us. So we get out there, and have our demonstration. Now I'm the person on the far right with the sunglasses on, and that's me on the far right. And I was trying to be incognito, because I got the sunglasses on and I got the shotgun on in front of my face. And like I said, I wanted to be incognito because I didn't want my mom to see that, and she would say, boy, why weren't you in school? So, and when Aaron Dixon wrote this book, My People Are Rising, in the thing where it shows that picture, they have the wrong person there name at the end. They have Larry Tassino, because Larry always used to wear sunglasses. He was out there with us, and there's another picture that shows it. But when they wrote the book, they put Larry's name and not my name. Back then, it was Warren Myers. So I guess I was incognito good enough.
All the way. Huh?
all the way. But that was an interesting time. There's some other pictures that they can go ahead and show, and we can talk about them. And some of it's going to be about our trip to Oakland. Some of the stuff is here in Seattle. But if they,
I have a question.
You have a
Before
question.
you get into the trip,
yes, sir.
you was telling me about something that happened in Yesler Terrace.
Oh, yes, the terrace. That was the pest control program, and two of the brothers, Aaron Dixon and Ron Johnson, and they're not in that particular picture. That picture there is in front of the Black Panther Party office that was on 34th and Union back in the day. And there's Aaron Dixon there and some other members. But the pest control program, what it was, people were complaining that they had roaches in their apartment in Yesler's Terrace. So nothing was being done about it. So two of the brothers took a class on how to take care of roaches. So what was happening first, one apartment would have roaches, they'd spray that, then the roaches would go to the next apartment. So they said, well, we need to spray all these apartments. Well, the landlord, whoever, was saying, well, no, we're not going to pay for it, and that's going to be done. So they told them, we'll have a rent strike. We won't pay any rent till this is done. So lo and behold, they sprayed everything, got rid of the roaches. So what was happening during that time, when people had a problem, they would call the Black Panther Party office. Hey, we got a problem. There was a thing at Rainier Beach High School back in the day in the 60s, late 60s, it was mostly all white. So the black students were getting beat up by the white students out there. And so the mothers were calling the Black Panther office. But see, at the same time, when we told Oakland headquarters what was happening, they said, well, that's good, but y'all are doing too much. The community is relying on you too much, because they would call for everything. So the mothers called again, the second time, and again, they're beating up our children. So Aaron Dixon and some other ones, other people in the party, they went to Rainier Beach, and they went there, and they talked to the principal. The principal ran and said, look, we're going to have to put a stop to this. These kids are getting beat up. So the principal assured their members that, this wouldn't happen anymore, and it didn't. So Panthers got back, and so what happened, they didn't get arrested or anything like that, but then a couple days later, they got arrested to say they were trespassing. At that time, you could bring your guns. So they did everything legal, but they said we were trespassing, that the Panthers who were trespassing. So anyway, they arrested them, and some other, they arrested Larry Gossett, who went out there with them, and so they were in jail when Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. So you can imagine this, you're in jail, just got arrested, trying to help folks, and Martin Luther King was just assassinated. So this kind of just started things really going. And like I said, people would call, for the Black Panthers, and they would come. There were brothers and sisters who would drop everything and come. So it was 24/7 for a lot of members of the Black Panther Party.
All right, that's nice to hear about those things.
Yes, sir.
So now let's get into your trip. So I see on your shirt here you have the 50th anniversary, 1966 to 2016 Black Panther Party.
Yes, sir.
Now this was held where?
This was held in Oakland, California, and if you just show some of the pictures of where we were in Oakland, I'll try to talk about some of the things that happened. But it was an outstanding trip. It was good to go down to Oakland again. I hadn't been in a very long time, and we went as a group. There was about 12 or 13. So we were well represented. Seattle was well represented. Matter of fact, Seattle chapter gave a workshop of what we were doing in Seattle. It was very well received.
All right.
So there's a picture of, and yeah, just keep showing pictures and I'll just talk about them. There's a picture of Huey P. Newton, and a lot of people back in the day, they know that picture. And there he is in the chair with a shotgun and a spear. And that was the uniform of the Black Panther Party. You had a black leather jacket, powder blue shirt, black pants, black shoes, and your beret, black beret.
Oh, you said they were selling berets down there?
I think somebody was. Yeah, I think somebody was selling berets down there. I think for back in the day, some of the people still look good. One thing I would like to say about is that all the people who were down there, even though the Black Panther Party is no longer in existence, they were still trying to keep that legacy going. And as one of our members here was saying, you got to keep that going to show the youth of, give them some direction.
Right.
And but what I found was that the spirit of the people was there. Even people, for all this time, they were either teaching or doing something in the community. Even though the Black Panther Party itself is not still around, they still have that spirit and that drive to do things.
Right. There's even, I've heard about some people that call themselves the new Black Panther Party.
Yeah, I've heard too. And my comment on that, and we'll just leave it for that at this particular time, is that I think they should have their own identity. And what I mean by that is they should call themselves something different. And, there's examples of that. But I think they should call themselves something different. And they can look at us, what we've done, look at our accomplishments and our mistakes. And this is for anyone. This is for Black Lives Matter. Look at what we were able to accomplish, our goals, and look at our mistakes and try to do better. One thing, the Black Lives Matter, I would suggest make sure you have a program. And I think now they're beginning to have a program, but have a program, so people can follow certain stuff. And what they're trying to do is the same stuff we were trying to do, back in the 60s and 70s. Same thing.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask you about the story about Elmer going to the academy school.
Okay, so like one of the pictures they have there, they're showing free groceries. So when Elmer was going to the Seattle Academy School, I believe that was the school he was going to, and he was invited. So there was two students there to meet him, one black and one white. And so the white student says, are you from the Black Panther Party? He says, yeah, I'm Elmer Dixon. Great. And the black student said, you Black Panther Party? Yeah, yes, sir. So the black student says, and so disheartening, he says, oh yeah, the Black Panthers, that's like the black KKK, Ku Klux Klan. And it's like, where are you getting your information? Where are you getting your education from? They were so disheartening. So, I guess he spoke to class and everything. One thing what Elmer Dixon from Seattle Black Panther Party mentioned was that when he was in Finland and different European countries, it was required reading to know about the Black Panther Party, what they did, what their accomplishment was. But in the United States, the history is so sanitized or wiped out. A lot of our textbooks come from the state of Texas, and what happens is there's a board that reviews stuff, and then they put in their recommendations, and they translate the history. One of the things they want to do is to say like slavery, oh, that was just no big deal. It was indentured servitude, at the most. And civil rights movement was no big deal. There was a state representative of Texas. He wanted to ban critical thinking as a subject or in the classroom. Can you imagine that? And his thing was, well, if the students think critically, they'll go against their parents. I mean, so that's kind of things that you're dealing with. There is a picture there of Bobby Seale and then Huey P. Newton with the shotguns. One of the things was for self-defense to be armed, and that's what a lot of people think about the Black Panther Party. And that was one factor of it. But the other factor was the programs, and they were also known as survival programs. The medical clinic, there was a medical clinic in Seattle still running. It was first called the Sidney Miller, and then clinic, and then that has been changed, and that clinic is still going. It's not run by the Panthers, but it was started, So there are things that.
You talking about the clinic up on 34th?
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.